Hello, 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 hello again, everybody. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. So, my name is Lola. For anybody that's new, I am the mama of three, happily married to my BFF. We've been married for 5 years. We'll be going on 6 years this summer, actually, and I would consider our marriage a happy marriage, and it's all by the grace of God. And so I just want to take this time to pour into our singles that are waiting, and even newlyweds. I think it's important to kind of if God gives you wisdom, insight, and understanding to things, it's good to share, not to keep it to ourselves. And so I am on this journey of just kind of sharing and helping to prepare on singles in the waiting for marriage and just kind of helping you navigate through marriage. I love marriage. I enjoy marriage, and I thank God for all the blessings that have come in my life through marriage. And I just feel like it's just something that singles are desiring, but sometimes when they desire it a little too much, or they're not educated enough and prepared for it, this loving desire that they had ends up being a big disappointment. And I've seen it and I hear it so many times. And so I just wanted to take the time to just kind of pour into our singles. I love what Pastor Mike Todd is doing. He's also on the topic of single and relationship goals and things like that. And I mean, so if you have not listened already to Pastor Mike Todd, please do. I do not attend his church, but I do watch some of his videos via online and YouTube, and it's so loaded. One question that I get a lot is, how do you know you're ready for marriage? And so I just kind of wanted to touch on the topic of are you ready for marriage? So basically, how do you know you're ready for marriage? That's such a good question. I like to think of life as a big institution, or life as a school, life as an educational system, right? As you know, when you're pre-K, you graduate from pre-K to kindergarten, then you go from kindergarten to elementary school, then you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, and then maybe you do choose, you can go to post-grad. But I like to see life like that. And so singleness to me is another aspect of the institution. It's another educational platform. It's another season of learning. And so that's why it's so important that we keep doing videos on the importance of enjoying your singleness and taking and making the most of your single season. And so I think, to answer that question, it's just like, how do you know you're ready to go to high school? Typically, you know that you're ready to go to the next stage of in your educational path when you've passed certain exams, you've passed quizzes, you've excelled in your learning, and then you graduate. So same thing I would say with singleness. So what are the exams you would say that happen in singleness? I feel like in singleness, or in life in general, especially in singleness, you're getting a lot of pop quizzes. You're learning, you're being quizzed about your loyalty with relationships. Look at your relationships with your friends, your family. You're being quizzed every day about those things, and maybe not every day, but your loyalty, your self-esteem, that's a pop quiz. Are you comparing yourself to others? Are you still dealing with comparison? Are you still dealing with low self-esteem? Those are pop quizzes that you're having exams. Are you learning how to deal with these things, or even things that have happened in your past, whether it's trauma, whether it's bad habits, whether it's lust, whether it's poor decision making, whether it's whatever it is that you are going through or you've gone through in the past. How have you navigated your way through it? How have you successfully been able to heal or process it, or mature or grow out of it or from it? That's important. And I think those are parts of the process of singleness. It's learning who you are, and how to find out what your purpose is and what God created you to be, and then learning like what your weaknesses and what your flaws are, and receiving God's strength for those areas. You see what I'm saying? So all of those are part of the school system. It's a learning season, and it's a trying to see if what I was previously saying, just kind of having a perspective of seeing life as giant, as a giant institution. And so you're learning, and as you're learning, you're taking quizzes, you're seeing that what you're learning, you're putting it into action. And then you're watching your scores to see, depending on what you score, you're seeing if you're ready to advance to the next stage of life or next grade. And so that's how I see the answer to the question, how do you know you're ready for marriage? So my question for you is, from what you've been learning in your singleness, how have you been scoring on your pop quizzes and exams? And like I said, what pop quizzes and exams would be is like, you get situations in life where it's like, okay, whether it's loyalty and friendship, relationship issues, how are you scoring on that? How are you scoring on your self-esteem? How are you doing those exams, pop quizzes? Are you comparing yourself with others? Are you still dealing with comparison, envy, strife, jealousy? Are you still dealing with that, or you're passing those quizzes and exams? How are you doing with finances? Are you passing in that area, or do you not have a healthy relationship with money? Do you see money and just spend it lavishly, or how are you doing on that exam? How are you doing physically, about your physical health? Are you taking care of yourself physically? Are you eating the nourishing food? Are you seeing your doctor? I mean, how are you doing in that sense? Mentally, emotionally, how are you doing? How are you passing those exams? Your mental health, that's important. How are you scoring in those? And I think, how are you scoring on the things of God? Are you listening to God's voice? Are you able to hear God's voice? Because He's always speaking. But can you hear it? Are you hearing His voice directing you, guiding you, whether it's through where you should go as far as career is concerned, or relationship? Is this who God sent? Are you dating somebody that God has approved? How are you scoring on those areas? If you're not really scoring well, I would like to say, I think in school when you make an 80% and above, you've passed and you get to move on to the next level. So I feel like in singleness as well, if there are all these areas that I've mentioned and you're scoring less than 80%, then you know that you still have room to grow, room to mature. You still have a lot of learning to do so that you can do better on your exams, so that you can score better or higher on those areas, whether it's your physical, your mental, your emotional health, or just navigating through your purpose, who God says you are, learning about that and passing that exam. It's just important to not rush things. It's like being in third grade and desiring to be in high school. It's a good desire and we hope you get there, but there's other levels between third grade to before you can get to high school. And if you don't learn everything you're supposed to learn between those, you're not going to make it in high school. And that's the same thing. Just like we said previously, just reading the manual. Part of what you should be doing when you're single is reading the manual and learning everything that you need to know about the next grade level that you're going through, which will be season of the journey of marriage. So I think that's kind of how to help yourself understand. And I think you just judge it by what I'm saying or by those conditions. Really be true to yourself, be honest with yourself and say, okay, am I really ready for marriage? Is this who God has approved for me? If you're dating and you're thinking that this is the person of God, because if you don't pass in that exam of whether this is from God, then you definitely will not pass in marriage because you've already started off wrong, And so just getting godly wisdom and godly counsel, learning the principles, learning as much insight and wisdom that you can, getting godly counsel, and even in who you're dating. Is this, just being surrounded by other married couples, or like I said, watching or opening your ears to things that concerns marriage. That way, okay, if I'm in this situation, how would I be able to handle it? Would I be able to endure? And I feel like God gives you the grace in every season in life. So it's not that you'll be fully equipped in a sense like before marriage, but I feel like God does equip us with everything we're going to go through in life. So it's not to scare you and say, oh, you need to be 100% ready. That's not what I'm saying. But at least take time to learn what you need to learn and try to pass the pop quizzes that are coming along the way. The pop quizzes of life as a single, temptations. Are you passing in those areas? Your temptation. What about in lust? Are you passing? Or what about in pornography? Have you overcome that? What about jealousy, anger, rage? Are you overcoming that? How are you doing? How are you? What are your grades in those? What are you scoring in those areas of life? Self-awareness, self-love, the love of God. How are you doing in that? Selfishness. What's that looking like for you? You know, so if you're making about 80% and above, then you know, okay, I'm making progress. I'm making progress towards my goal. Well, marriage is not a goal, but towards my next level or my next journey, my next season. So I just think that's like a criteria that you can use. Like I said, I'm not a marriage counselor or a marriage therapist or anything. I just enjoy marriage, and God has taught me so much along the way. He sent me mentors, and He's surrounded me with godly advice and counselors that has helped us, my husband and I, navigate through marriage. And so just wanted to just share some. Let me know if this was helpful. Hope I answered your question. I didn't go too in depth, but just overall, I think seeing marriage in a different perspective or in different light will probably put you in a better way of answering and navigating through that. Am I ready for marriage or am I not ready for marriage? You, like I said, probably will never be 100% ready for marriage, but at least you would have read the manual, you study it, and pass the pop. What are your grades in those? What are you scoring in those areas of life? Self-awareness, self-love, the love of God. How are you doing in that? Selfishness. What's that looking like for you? You know, so if you're making about 80% and above, then you know, okay, I'm making progress. I'm making progress towards my goal. Well, marriage is not a goal, but towards my next level or my next journey, my next season. So I just think that's like a criteria that you can use. Like I said, I'm not a marriage counselor or a marriage therapist or anything. I just enjoy marriage, and God has taught me so much along the way. He sent me mentors, and He's surrounded me with godly advice and counselors that has helped us, my husband and I, navigate through marriage. And so just wanted to just share some. Let me know if this was helpful. Hope I answered your question. I didn't go too in depth, but just overall, I think seeing marriage in a different perspective or in different light will probably put you in a better way of answering and navigating through that. Am I ready for marriage or am I not ready for marriage? You, like I said, probably will never be 100% ready for marriage, but at least you would have read the manual, you study it, and pass the pop quizzes along the way as you prepare for final exams and as you transition and graduate from that level of singleness to marriage. So thank you all so much. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe below. And please feel free to share this with your family, friends, and loved ones. Hope this helps. Have a wonderful day.